Welcome to our deep dive into a future that might just make you rethink what gives life purpose and meaning.
Definitely a thought-provoking topic.
It is. We'll be diving into Nick Bostrom's book, Deep Utopia, Life and Meaning in a Solved World. We're going to explore what happens when technology, and AI specifically, gets to the point where it can solve all our problems.
Not just the little everyday problems, but like all of them.
Yeah, and we're talking everything. And Bostrom, he actually presents these ideas in the book through fictional lectures by a character named, you guessed it, Bostrom.
Kind of a clever way to tackle the future without getting bogged down by all the technical details, right?
It is. Makes it a lot more approachable. So one of the first things Bostrom in the book cackles is this idea of a post-work utopia. I think most of us have heard the idea about AI taking our jobs.
Right. But Bostrom takes it a step further. He argues that even the things we consider meaningful, like hobbies, learning new skills, even leisure activities, they could become effortless and, because of that, potentially meaningless.
So it's not just about robots in factories. It's AI potentially taking over, well, every aspect of what we do.
There's a great anecdote in the book, really gets you thinking, about a character who's this brilliant mathematician and composer. But he realizes no matter how good his work is, AI can always do it better, faster, more precisely. It makes you question, what's the point?
It really makes you think about motivation, right? Like, is our drive to create and achieve really just about the outcome? Or is it more about the journey? If AI takes away the challenge, the struggle, does that take away the meaning too?
Big questions, right? I mean, think about it. Have you ever worked really hard on something only to see someone else just nail it effortlessly, totally demotivating?
Definitely. And Bostrom introduces this concept of interestingness. This idea that interestingness is really key for a fulfilling life. And he argues that a lot of that comes from learning and overcoming obstacles.
And this is where things get even trickier. What if AI could give us any knowledge or skill instantly? Would we even have the drive to learn and grow anymore? Think about how SAS kids learn. It's amazing. They're constantly absorbing information and mastering new things.
It's true. But as adults, things slow down, challenges get more complex, and the rewards feel further away.
Bostrom actually wonders if all the advancements he talks about in the book could kick off this new era of rapid development, almost like an accelerated adulthood where we're constantly pushing boundaries and learning new things. Would that even be interesting, or would it just be completely overwhelming?
To be honest, both of those sound a little overwhelming.
Hmm.
But Bostrom doesn't just leave us with these existential dilemmas. He has what he calls the 5 rings of defense, against this idea that a world where everything is solved would be boring and pointless.
Yeah. These defenses explore all these different ways we could still find meaning and purpose, even if AI is superhuman at everything.
One of the defenses that really stood out to me was artificial purpose. Could we really, engineer meaningful goals and challenges, even if they're, at the end of the day, totally arbitrary?
It's a wild concept. Imagine designing your own Olympic Games, creating challenges perfectly tailored to you. Would winning those games even matter if no one else was watching or cared?
Whoa, that's a mind-blowing thought. But it would feel a little like playing a video game on easy mode, wouldn't it? Where's the real challenge in that?
That's exactly the kind of question Bostrom wants us to think about. He also makes us question if the things we want now, the things we pursue, are they actually fulfilling, or are they just because of our limited circumstances?
So maybe in a world where anything is possible, we'd all realize we've been chasing the wrong things all along.
Now, that's a thought. And it brings us to even bigger questions about, the meaning of life and all that.
So AI potentially taking over every part of our lives, this post-work utopia where even relaxing might become meaningless, and then this crazy idea of artificial purpose. Where do we even go from here?
Next, we got to look at how Bostrom tackles the idea of meaning itself. What are the different ways of thinking about this? And how do they change when everything is possible?
All right, sounds like we're getting into the deep stuff. Let's do it.
All right, let's dive into those deeper questions about meaning. Bostrom, he doesn't shy away from the philosophy of it all. He looks at this contrast between subjective meaning, the idea that we create our own meaning, versus objective meaning. There's some inherent purpose to life that's, out there, regardless of what we believe.
So on one hand, you've got the existentialist view, we're born into a meaningless universe, and it's up to us to find our own purpose. And on the other hand, there's this idea that maybe there is a bigger plan, a reason we're all here.
Exactly. And Bostrom, he throws in this really interesting idea of a locally crowded future. It's In a world where AI optimizes everyone's lives perfectly, you can actually lose individual uniqueness and meaning.
Okay, so imagine a world where everyone's living these perfectly efficient lives, but they're all incredibly similar. Kind of sounds a little dystopian, right?
Yeah, it does make you think. He uses this analogy to get the point across about a fleet of ships. In one scenario, they get blown off course, all going in different directions, each one navigating this unique and unpredictable path.
Sounds kind of chaotic.
It does. But then in the other scenario, they're all sailing in a perfect convoy, all on the same route, totally predictable.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
In the first scenario, each ship's journey is totally unique. Maybe even a little dangerous, but definitely exciting. The second one, well, it's smooth sailing, but also kind of boring.
Right. And Bostrom's suggestion is that in a world where everyone's life is perfectly optimized, we might lose that sense of individuality, that feeling of forging your own path.
It's like if everyone's a genius, artist, or musician, then no one is.
Yeah.
Like the rarity of talent is what makes it valuable. But there's this other angle to the meaning thing, this meaning as enchantment idea. Bostrom argues that without struggle and mystery, life might actually lose some of its magic.
Yeah, it makes you think about the things we find most meaningful. Often it's those moments of discovery, those times when we overcome a challenge or those experiences that, really surprise us.
It's so true. Like reaching the top of a mountain after a tough climb or finally mastering a difficult song, those wouldn't feel nearly as rewarding if they were easy.
Exactly. And you know how modern society is becoming so data-driven? Everything is measured and analyzed. Our steps, our sleep, even our social media, it's all data points for some algorithm.
Yeah, it's like we're always trying to optimize every single part of our lives, striving for efficiency, for perfection. I wonder if we're losing something important in the process.
It's a valid point. Are we losing those enchanting moments, the wonder, the serendipity, by chasing this perfectly optimized existence?
It makes you wonder if we're so focused on the destination that we forget to enjoy the journey. You know, Bostrom also looks at this idea of finding meaning in a transcendental context.
Ah, yes. That's about the possibility of there being a real objective reason for us being here. Something beyond just our individual lives that gives us purpose. It's not just about us creating our own meaning, but discovering a meaning that already exists.
So are we talking about like spiritual beliefs,
Yes.
a cosmic plan, maybe even a scientific discovery that reveals some deeper purpose to everything?
Exactly. He even uses this thought experiment about a karma coin. Like, what if everything we do in this life earns us rewards in some future existence that's actually more meaningful? It's a way of connecting our actions now to a bigger purpose that we don't even fully understand yet.
So even if our lives feel insignificant right now, in the grand scheme of things, they could still have meaning if they're connected to something bigger than ourselves.
It's a possibility, right? He also outlines these three big categories of meaning: transcendence, transformation, and dedication.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break those down for me.
Yeah. So transcendence is about connecting to something bigger than ourselves. This could be like a spiritual path, a connection to nature, or dedicating yourself to something that helps all of humanity.
So it's finding meaning beyond your own ego, connecting to something more universal. Got it.
Then there's transformation. This one's all about personal growth, striving to become a better version of yourself, learning, growing, overcoming challenges, and reaching your full potential.
And this could still be meaningful even in a solved world where, AI could theoretically handle all our basic needs and even speed up our learning.
Exactly. It's about that inner drive for self-improvement, regardless of any external rewards. And lastly, there's dedication. This one's about committing to a specific activity or practice that you find valuable in itself.
So like mastering a craft, pursuing a scientific discovery, creating art, or even raising a family.
You got it. It's about finding that meaning in the process of creating, in striving for excellence, or committing to something that you believe in. Bostrom uses the myth of Sisyphus to show how even seemingly pointless tasks can become meaningful if you connect them to something you value.
Sisyphus, the guy who's eternally pushing that boulder up a hill, only to have it roll back down. That always seemed like the ultimate punishment.
Yeah, the image of futility, right. But Bostrom asks, what if Sisyphus actually enjoyed the physical effort? Or what if he found beauty in the boulder's path as it rolled back down? Could he find meaning even in that seemingly absurd situation?
That's a really interesting way to think about it. It's like meaning isn't always about the result, but about the attitude we bring to the task.
Exactly. Even in a world where everything is possible, we'll probably still face challenges and setbacks. The real question is, how will we respond to those challenges? Will we see them as obstacles or opportunities for growth and meaning?
Wow, this is making me think about my own life. Do I actually find meaning in what I do, or am I just going through the motions? What would I be doing if I couldn't fail? Or if money was no object?
Those are the questions Bostrom wants us to grapple with. He challenges us to look beyond our current circumstances and figure out what really gives our lives meaning.
Okay, so we've talked about this potential locally crowded future, the idea that optimized lives could actually mean less individuality. We've explored meaning and enchantment and overcoming challenges, and we've touched on the possibility of a transcendental context. What else does Bostrom explore about this solved world?
One big concern people have about a future with advanced AI is mass unemployment. Bostrom really dives into this, comparing it to historical examples of leisure societies.
So, like, societies where only a few people had to work, like ancient aristocrats or even, modern-day retirees.
Yeah.
But I imagine a world where everyone is free from work would be completely different.
Yeah, for sure. Bostrom's careful about making those direct comparisons. He explores the potential problems of everyone being unemployed, and it's not all about, economics.
So what other problems could come up?
Well, one concern is social isolation. Work gives us a sense of community, a structure to our day, and those chances to interact with others.
That's true. I've met some of my closest friends through work.
Exactly. So in a world without work, we might have to find new ways to connect and build meaningful relationships.
It's not just about having free time then. It's about how we use that time to feel connected.
Exactly. And another worry is the potential for people to lose their sense of meaning and purpose. For a lot of people, their work gives them a sense of identity, achievement, and like they're contributing to society.
It makes sense. If you take that away, I can see how people might feel lost. Like, what's the point?
Right. And Bostrom gets that some people would totally thrive in a world without work. But he's worried about those who might struggle to find meaning and purpose in just leisure. It goes back to that idea that interestingness often comes from overcoming challenges.
So even if everything is taken care of and we have all the free time in the world, we might still crave that feeling of working towards something, of using our skills to make a difference.
You got it. Even in a solved world, we're still human. We still have those basic needs and desires, including that need for meaning and purpose.
Okay, I'm really starting to see how complex this solved world could be. It's not just about AI doing everything and us relaxing by the pool. It really brings up some big questions about what it means to be human.
And that's just scratching the surface. Bostrom goes even deeper, looking at the potential benefits of a solved world, and also the ethical and philosophical questions about things like virtual reality and enhancing our brains.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. How are we going to unpack all of this? Okay, so AI solving all our problems, it doesn't sound like a perfect utopia, but it's not exactly a dystopia either. It's complicated. Seems like the real challenge isn't just building the tech, but figuring out what we want to do with it all.
Exactly. And that's where Bostrom gets really interesting with his extended theory of purpose. He uses it to figure out what makes a life meaningful. He breaks it down into three things: purpose, externalism, and transcendence.
Okay, break those down for me. I mean, purpose seems straightforward enough. If you want a meaningful life, you need goals, things you're working towards. But I'm guessing it's not just about having any old goal.
You got it. It's not just about having a purpose, but truly believing in it. It can't be something you're forced into or just doing out of habit. It has to be something you really feel is yours, something you're fully invested in.
So it's got to be authentic. You really got to feel it. Makes sense. What about externalism? That one sounds a bit more complex.
Yeah, so externalism means that your purpose should be driven by something outside of your own, like immediate desires, connecting it to something bigger than yourself, something that contributes to the good of others.
Okay, so let's say I'm really into collecting rare stamps. It brings me joy, sure. But is that a truly meaningful purpose if it doesn't go beyond my own enjoyment?
That's exactly the kind of question externalism forces us to ask. It's not about dismissing personal satisfaction, but thinking about whether our pursuits have a ripple effect. Do they benefit anyone else?
So maybe my stamp collection becomes more meaningful if I use it to teach others about history or geography, or if I donate it to a museum where others can enjoy it too.
Exactly. It's all about finding ways to connect what you're passionate about to something larger than yourself. And then there's transcendence, which takes things even further.
Transcendence, like going beyond the everyday, the ordinary.
Yeah. Connecting your purpose to something that goes beyond just your individual existence. Could be a spiritual belief, a commitment to leaving a positive legacy, or pursuing knowledge or beauty that benefits everyone.
So finding a sense of meaning that extends beyond your lifespan, like you're a part of something bigger and lasting. almost like having a cosmic perspective on your own life.
That's a great way to put it. And what's really interesting is that Bostrom thinks even in a solved world where theoretically AI could fulfill all our needs and desires, there might still be this problem of meaning.
I can see that happening. If we don't have to struggle to survive, if we have unlimited leisure, it's easy to imagine people feeling kind of empty and aimless, just drifting.
Like when people retire sometimes, they've worked hard their whole lives, then suddenly they have all this free time and don't know what to do with themselves. They lose that sense of purpose their work gave them.
So then what's the answer? If a life of ease and abundance can't guarantee meaning, what can we do?
Bostrom explores a few ideas. One is that artificial purpose thing we were talking about. Designing your own challenges, your own Olympics.
Right, even if there's no inherent meaning out there in the universe, we can still create meaningful goals for ourselves.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to engage our minds and bodies, to have something to strive for, even if survival's not an issue anymore.
Makes me think about people who create these elaborate fantasy worlds or spend years building detailed model ships and bottles. They may not have practical value, but they clearly provide a deep sense of meaning.
It's true. And another idea is that maybe we need to rethink what we value and desire. In a world where resources are scarce, it makes sense to focus on getting those resources, achieving status, and just surviving. But what if those things aren't necessary anymore?
It's like that saying, be careful what you wish for. We might achieve a world where everyone's basic needs are met and then realize we've been chasing the wrong things all along.
That's a possibility Bostrom wants us to consider. He encourages us to think about what would make life truly fulfilling, even in a world where material wealth and status aren't the driving forces anymore.
It's like we need a whole new set of values for this solved world. Where do we even find those?
Bostrom suggests we need to look inwards, rediscover those things that are inherently meaningful to us as humans. Connection, creativity, compassion, curiosity, the pursuit of knowledge, and beauty. These are the things that have always given meaning to human life, no matter our circumstances.
It makes you wonder if we're so obsessed with progress and technology that we're forgetting about the things that truly matter.
That's a real danger, and that's why Bostrom's work is so valuable. It makes us face these questions head on, think critically about the future we're creating, and make sure technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well, listeners, this deep dive has given me a lot to think about. It's clear that a world where AI solves all our problems, while potentially amazing, also presents us with some big challenges and choices.
We can't just assume that technology will automatically make life more meaningful. We have to be deliberate about how we use these tools and ask ourselves some tough questions about what we truly value as humans.
Absolutely. So we'd love to hear from you. What would your purpose be in a world of infinite possibilities? What truly gives your life meaning beyond the everyday struggles? Think about it, and until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep searching for those things that make your life meaningful.